because normally we're announcing a tremendous triumph, a success. I don't think there's any way that we can avoid saying that this is a disappointment, that the building of this City Hall Annex that included all of the citizens of the community is to me an example of the progress and prosperity that Atlanta has enjoyed. It has not taken anything away from anybody, but it has expanded the opportunities for all our citizens. And we did that in a context of some remedial action that helped persons whom we felt to be historically disadvantaged to have an equal opportunity to share in the growth and development of this city. I contend that there's good American precedent for that. We even took remedial action with our enemies, the Japanese and the Germans, and gave them a Marshall Plan because we didn't want a worldwide underclass developing that would be a breeding ground for communism. Now, as we seek to do a similar kind of remediation, giving all of the citizens of this city an opportunity to participate fully in the progress and prosperity, we find that the Georgia Supreme Court, following the United States Supreme Court, tells us that we have not successfully made our case. I think there's no choice for us but to go back to the drawing board and try to make a case as to how we can continue to do business in the city of Atlanta, including all of our citizens. In the meantime, we will proceed on a case-by-case basis and conduct business as expediently as possible, but it's going to take us some time to figure out the full implications of this decision and to see what we could possibly do to help the courts of our nation to understand that slavery did exist, that there was 100 years of segregation based on race, that historically capital, technology, opportunity has been denied people on the basis of the color of their skin and their national origin, and that a society really can't continue to grow and prosper unless it makes it possible to include all of its citizens. We've got a lot of work cut out for us, and I don't know how long it'll take us, but in the meantime, we will go on opening this new facility. We will continue with the bidding of underground parking deck soon, and we will do the best we can in the meantime. But I think the city of Atlanta has to remain committed to a spirit of fairness. And how we implement that spirit of fairness is the challenge that we as administration and city council will accept.
Wasn't this atrium here built with less than 35% minority participation?
I think this atrium and annex was built with just about 34 point something minority participation. But we've never had an absolute quota or set aside. We've simply had goals. The airport was built, the design phase of the airport was 75% minority participation. We've had a very flexible approach to minority participation that we thought was quite different from Richmond. We expected a little more consideration from the courts of Georgia. But I think what we were expecting was maybe expecting a little too much. We expected the Georgia Supreme Court to get out in front of the Supreme Court of the United States of America, because I think, frankly, the people in Georgia and the Supreme Court in Georgia actually has more knowledge of the struggle to establish racial justice than does the Supreme Court of the United States. And I never thought I'd be making that statement.
Yeah, Mayor Young, I'm a little bit confused. Unless you're speaking about a minority of black contractors, this talk about minority participation in a city that's 70% black puzzles me. Shouldn't you instead be in the courts demanding that all the contracts in the city be let to 70% majority black people instead of discriminating against blacks? That means 70% majority black contractors, workers, and so on.
Well, I think we'd have a hard time making that case, and we'd also, because of the historic disadvantage in the black community, we would have a hard time doing business with 70% minority African American contractors or Hispanic contractors.
Shouldn't you therefore be working on making more contractors in the business black?
Well, that's exactly what we were trying to do with our program. We were trying to give opportunities. For instance, there were about 20 minority subcontractors that participated in this project. For many of them, it was their first job of anywhere in the neighborhood of, or even anywhere close to $1 million. They performed, and they performed well. And hopefully this would enable them to get similar projects in the private sector. Our project was obviously an attempt to get small, historically disadvantaged business an opportunity in the workplace. When I took a picture here with a number of those contractors, I asked them how many people they employ. And there were almost 500 people that have worked on this project. And even though the contractors were minorities, all of their employees were not minorities. We insist that our subcontractors and contractors not discriminate in employment. We have done everything we could imagine to run this program fairly. But we have not successfully made that case to some of the public, not even to some of the general contractors, who I think would not now enjoy some $67 billion worth of new private investment in this community if it were not for the fact that we've had very good race relations, that minorities have been involved in the progress and prosperity, and that we're growing together in this community rather than in a fractious and contentious manner.
What would you do if you were sued?
Let me
Majority in the city.
I'll try to defend ourselves. Yeah.
Other than the projects that are ongoing underground, this project, will there be new projects undertaken while you do this re-examination?
We will look at new projects on a case-by-case basis, and there's some things that we absolutely need to get done that we will move ahead with. There's some things that we probably would not have been able to get minority contractors for in the first place. And it's possible for us to continue our business, but still take the time to do a more effective analysis of the legal problem that we have.
Mayor, what will you do with the machinery? When will the program cease to exist officially, and what will you do with the machinery of the program while you re-examine?
We have not gotten to that point yet. One thing, I would hope that the experience of contractors doing business together would continue. And I think it's important for us to continue whatever support our Minority Business Enterprise Office can give to voluntarily encouraging joint ventures, particularly on private projects, something which they've done all along anyway. One of the things that's encouraging about the Supreme Court case was that they did say that there was a possibility of pursuing the private sector if when evidences exist of discrimination in the private sector. And so, I mean, the court could have opened us up to a long era of contention and litigation where we have had progress and prosperity. In fact, I can't help but link this up with the Eastern Strike and say that what we're seeing is the beginnings of the Reagan legacy coming home to roost. And it's going to be very hard for George Bush to have a positive, prosperous presidency with the kind of baggage that seems to be coming over from the last 8 years.
not appeal?
We don't see any grounds in this case to go to the federal court. There is a possibility that there might be some reconsideration asked of the Georgia Supreme Court, but we basically want to take the time, I think 2 or 3 days somewhere, looking this over and making sure that we understand exactly what's happening.
Mayor, some people felt that you might call for a moratorium on all bidding on new contracts until you come up with a program that would satisfy this.
Well, fortunately, we've done almost everything we could do, and I'm coming to the end of my term. We will open City Hall on the 7th of April. We'll open Underground on the 15th of June. We'll open the new International Airport soon after that, and the project down at Lakewood Stadium. So basically, almost everything that I had planned to start, we have started. There are some things that we will need to do that we will do, and we will be looking for ways to develop an acceptable minority business enterprise program.
So at this point, it's really not feasible because of the timing of this?
No, we don't need a moratorium because we don't have anything to put a moratorium on practically. And the kinds of things that we're going to do, we will be able to do.
Mayor, if the court is asking you to prove discrimination, how do you do that?
You know, that's the challenge to us, and maybe that's the weakness. Oh, yeah. We are planning to bring in some experts again to do an analysis of our situation and see if they can more effectively document patterns of discrimination. We don't know yet.
Will there be any kind of slowdown in the awarding of bids and city contracts in the next several months?
Well, there won't be any slowdown because we didn't have much to do anyway. And we will do what we have to do on a case-by-case basis.
Will, in those case-by-case reviews, will you be free to impose any kind of minority participation requirements?
We would not, according to my understanding of the court, be free to impose any minority requirements. But we would hope that the experience of working together has been good enough so that people will continue to do business together. A part of my dream for this, and a part of the future of Atlanta, it seems to me, again, is tied to America's ability to do business around the world. And one of the things we were learning how to do is do business together so that as these companies grow and begin to become successful international contractors, there would be a multi-ethnic experience upon which their work in other parts of the world might be based. What this has done is attempt to, I think, set us back just a bit. But we're determined that that's not going to be a permanent setback, and we've just got to find ways to continue to do business fairly.
Will contract compliance have to stay at full staff?
Contract compliance will remain as they are.
What would happen to the female contractors with the baseball field for men?
Well, we had instituted a female participation ordinance, and we were in the process of establishing that. And we will continue to encourage female entrepreneurs in the development of business. The court did not decide on that. They were specific about race-conscious remedies. They did not make any decision about gender, and it's quite possible. But there again, we would expect our female contractors, as were the female contractors who participated in this, to be legitimate owners and operators of companies.
So what precedent do you think this will have for the other municipal programs around the country?
I don't know, and it depends on what we can bring out of this. I think it challenges us to respond to the Supreme Court of the land at a time when I really believe they're wrong and don't know what they're talking about. The Georgia Dome is a state project, and so it wouldn't affect us. I mean, we wouldn't have anything to say about that.
Has the court forbidden the imposition of a majority participation project?
It has been, the court didn't use majority and minority. The court used race-specific solutions. And so in that sense, it did forbid a race-specific solution or remedy.
Except in cases where you can show discrimination against the majority.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
To what extent would you consider non-race-based remedies as outlined by the report?
Well, we will consider remedies based on a concept of disadvantaged. We have been very, very inclusive in our implementation of the program, even though it has been essentially a minority business enterprise program. We used it as a program to include people in the economy. And it's our experience that as you include more people in the economy, and as you bring them in as productive citizens, that economy grows and the situation gets better for everybody. The irony of this is I think that there's a kind of a Marxist worldview that prevailed in this case, that you've got a closed pie. And if you give somebody something, you take something from somebody else. And that just has not been the case.
How about bonding, sir? Like perhaps increasing bonding or other things that you mentioned?
Well, no, those are the areas where I think it's probably fairly easy to document a pattern of discrimination. And we will be working with the council chairs that are present. And would any of you want to have anything to say about this?
This is probably the first time the mayor has had to get up and relinquish his seat to a council person, but we don't mind it at all. As chair of the executive committee and speaking in behalf of the president of the council and the members of the council that are here, Mr. Maslier, Mr. Finley, Mr. Pitts, Mr. Cuffey, and Mr. Samama, I think I can say that we are very, very disappointed in the ruling of the Supreme Court. However, we are determined to find means to keep the program alive legally as we possibly can. If you remember, 2 years ago, the council set aside $100,000 for the implementation of a study so that we could document the findings which the court ordered that we did not have. We will be working directly with the executive branch to come up with some experts who can help us to document the findings of discrimination. We also are hoping that we will not mislead any of the public, those who are in the construction business and contractors and so forth, by saying that the program is dead. It is not dead. We're just going to find alternative means of handling it. We hope that we'll have the cooperation of those people in the industry, as well as other legal attorneys and persons from across the country who are suffering under the same problem. The mayor has alluded to the fact that the attitude of the country has changed, and we see that we need to have an attitude adjustment as far as discrimination is concerned. And we intend to apply any means legally that we can to ensure that the program will be in existence.
We got most of the points.
Good job. Left on the upbeat note that we talked about.
Thank you.